Recently, there's been a lot of YouTube videos, articles, interviews asking retirees what their biggest regrets are. I had AI go through each and every one it could find, filter out the noise, and give us exactly why so many people regret retiring at 70 in their words. Here's what we found. First, retiring late meant, quote, "My wife and I put off travel and some bucket list stuff in our 60s, thinking we'd have more money and time later. She passed away before we could enjoy those years together," he explained. "If I could do it over, I'd have claimed earlier and used those payments to make memories while we still could." Now, of course, this is very sad and will be a reality for many, but I think it's also worth pointing out that death is not the only thing that causes this, but also a simple decline in health. If we look at the life expectancies for males and females at birth, we see 75 and 81 as of 2023. However, your life expectancies once you've made it to 65, given you've already made it to that age, are much higher. We see there about 18.2 more years for males, 20.7 for females. Still, this doesn't tell the full story because that is life expectancy. Now there's life expectancy and there's health expectancy. And health expectancy, very simply put, is how many years you have to be healthy. Recent studies have shown, and you can see a quote here at the bottom from a JAMA article that's linked in the description, the US presented the largest health span lifespan gap amounting to 12.4 years of 183 different countries that they surveyed. That put the average health expectancy in the United States as 66.1. So even for people who didn't go through such an unfortunate event as this gentleman did here, there still is absolutely the risk of running out of that health span and being able to, exactly what the point says, create memories with family. Second regret is wasting the potential best years of retirement in the office. Quote, "As people age, they realize that during the time right before they retired, they still had as much energy as they did during their years in the professional world," Cruz says. Then as they age, it dawns on them that they were wasting the potentially best years of their retirement in the office. They realize having flexibility during those earliest potential retirement years can be priceless, he says. His point is that a lot of people in their early and middle of their career have a lot of energy. As they get later into their retirement, right before they retire, they're still feeling good. And then once they start to feel that trickle in energy or health, that's when they retire. And as they continue to age and that health a lot of the time gets worse, that's when they realize if they were wanting to do all these fun things in retirement like travel, spending time with family, it might have been wiser to do that before they felt the decline and the need to retire, rather than doing it earlier while they were still healthy just because they could. Now, it's also important to note in the same article by Time Magazine, which is linked below in the description, they reported a surprising 20% of millionaires, people with presumably much less financial problems because they also have Social Security and more, report regretting not retiring earlier when they had better health and more energy. So yes, there are that 20% that say I could have retired earlier, I would have had more money. That also means that 80% of millionaires do not have that regret. So whether that means they lived in a higher cost of living area, they had more expenses. There's lots of different reasons for continuing to work and that being a very good thing to do. But get this stat below that, 30% of retirees who had much less, between 100,000 and 250,000, people with presumably much more financial concern, report wishing they had retired sooner. So perhaps a number of different things here. It either could be done for much less money than a lot of people realize. Perhaps from these 30% of people, it's a little bit naive and they don't realize expenses may go up later in their retirement. Certainly open for interpretation. Hey, real quick, if you're finding this helpful, leave a like and let me know. Helps me out. Back to it. The third and final regret is they'd wish they spent, emphasis, differently in retirement. AI especially emphasized this. Now, in a lot of videos that I've seen, especially the biggest one had over 1 million views, the biggest thing that they hit on there was people wishing they spent more. And this is certainly a reality, as we see there in the first point, the too little regrets. Wishing they had more money for travel, hobbies, creating memories with family. But on the flip side, we actually saw in response to this video, there was an article where a study was presented from Lincoln Financial Group. And essentially what this showed is 62% of retirees would change their post-retirement planning. However, 37%, which is certainly a big chunk, expressed concern over their retirement preparedness. This would say that they probably would have needed to save more, work longer, or spend less. So yes, especially when you're diving into retirement YouTube, you're going to see a lot of encouragement generally to retire earlier, to spend more earlier, but it's very important that this is done prudently. Of course, it has to make sense for you. What's a good middle ground? Creating a plan that's going to allow you to not have those regrets as stated in this video, but still is going to last throughout your entire retirement. If you're within 10 years of retirement in the US, subscribe. I release videos for you twice a week on how to do that peacefully. Bye-bye.